The Civil War was fought between the North and South over the legality and morality of slavery, economic differences, differing ideas about state rights, and Lincoln's presidency. The expansion of slavery westward was an issue since the country was first formed in 1776. Congress was forbidden from talking about abolition through the gag rule. However, the Mexican American War has sparked debate about whether slavery should be involved in the new territories. Attempts to keep slavery at a new territory, such as Wilmot Proviso in 1846, were not passed by Congress, although compromises were made to appease both sides, such as the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850. The North's economy was based on industry and factories, while the South had an agricultural economy based on growing cash crops through the use of slaves. The South also favored state rights because it would allow slavery to expand with less government intervention. These mounting tensions finally gave way to rebellion when Lincoln was elected as the 16th President of the United States.
April 12, 1861. The day which marked the beginning of the bloodiest war ever recorded in American history, the American Civil War, resulting in about 620,000 total Union and Confederate deaths. No one would ever be able to comprehend or experience the war's genuine horrors except for the soldiers who fought. The average soldier stood around at a height of 5 feet and 8 inches tall and weighed around 140 pounds. In the Union Army, soldiers ranged between 18 and 45 years old, with an average age of being between 18 and 29 years old. Unlike the Union Army, the Confederate Army set no minimum age, and many soldiers were under 30 years old. Conditionally, Union soldiers as young as 12 years old and under, and Confederate soldiers as old as 18 years old and under participated as drummer boys or cavalry buglers. Regardless of a soldier's rank or age, the war was excruciatingly demanding for all. War is cruelty. There is no use trying to reform it. The crueler it is, the sooner it will be over. You cannot qualify war in harsher terms than I will. War is cruelty, and you cannot refine it. And those who brought war into our country deserve all the curses and maledictions a people can pour out. William T. Sherman.
The life of an average soldier during the Civil War can most accurately be described as daily boredom interrupted by brief horrors. Every soldier followed an orderly routine every single day. Soldiers endured all kinds of training, such as marching, heavy conditioning, policing at camp, and continuous drilling followed by lunch break at around noon. Back we came, therefore, dragging wearily into our old camp through all the dust and heat, tired in every bone, every fiber of clothing soaked and re-soaked in perspiration. Having, in the course of 4 days, gone some 50 or 60 miles. We hope it was our last march. God send it be so. About 2/3 of the total deaths during the war were due to disease. Medical knowledge during the Civil War was extremely limited. Contaminated water sources, close proximity of waste facilities to drinking sources, and lack of sanitation of hospitals led to soldiers on both sides facing diseases such as pneumonia, typhoid, dysentery, smallpox, and malaria. Battlefield wounds today that would be considered minor injuries can often not be treated. Many wounded limbs were amputated. Improper sanitations of tools led to infections among the amputees, causing even more death. September 22nd, 1862. My dear wife, the day before yesterday, I dressed the wounds of 64 different men, some having 2 or 3 each. Yesterday, I was at work from daylight to dark. Today, I am completely exhausted, but shall soon be able to go at it again. The days after a battle are 1,000 times worse than the day of the battle, and physical pain is not the greatest pain suffered. How awful it is! You cannot have any idea of affairs after a battle until you see it. The dead appear sickening, but they suffer no pain. But the poor wounded and mutilated soldiers that yet have life and sensation make a most horrid picture. I pray God may stop such infernal work, though perhaps He has sent it upon us for our sins. Great indeed must have been our sins if such is our punishment.
There were many struggles for accessing proper food. At the time, fruits and vegetables were very scarce since both the Union and Confederacy rationed foods such as hardtack, salted meat, beans, rice, coffee, and sugar for necessary scenarios. April 8, 1862. I enjoy the tramping, the mud, the cold, and being tired, and everything means there is about soldiering except being hungry. That beats me to a fraction. If I could only go without eating 3 or 4 days at a time, I would pass as a soldier. But bless me, missing a meal is worse than drawing a tooth. Charles Wright Wills.
Weather was extremely deadly. In the winter, soldiers experienced extreme frostbite and illnesses since many Union and Confederate soldiers were not properly equipped with the necessary resources. Wet and muddy conditions in rainy weather contributed to diseases such as dysentery and pneumonia. In the summer, the land was very hot and humid. Dehydration was common among the troops, leading to even more disease being spread. Union and Confederate soldiers would wear wool uniforms, which were not well suited for either summer or winter. Wool uniforms were uncomfortable in the hot and summer climate and insufficiently warm in the winter. Soldiers would wear heavy wool uniforms with poor ventilation, resulting in heat exhaustion and heat stroke for many of them. Soldiers in both the American Revolution and Civil War fought for different reasons. In the American Revolution, the soldiers were fighting for their independence and to get away from the British. In the Civil War, they fought because of economic differences, state rights, and most importantly, slavery. The Civil War changed war tactics in the 18th century to more modern warfare with the introduction of new rifles and artillery advancements. Soldiers conformed to these different artillery advancements, which resulted in harsher battles than warfare during the American Revolution when battles were very unadvanced. African American soldiers in the Civil War faced unique challenges due to the issue of slavery. Many fought for the end of slavery and to unite the Union, but many African Americans and immigrants faced discrimination and unequal treatment in the military and society. Both wars had harsh natural environments. Extreme weather, bad clothing, and poor shelter exposed them to illnesses and physical discomfort. During the American Revolution, soldiers endured brutal winters at Valley Forge, while Civil War soldiers often suffered from heat and humidity in the South. Diseases and infections were very significant in both wars. No one at the time had much medical knowledge, and facilities often meant that a simple wound could become life-threatening, or a shot in the arm had to be amputated, which would lead to infection and even death.
The Civil War era patriotic songs with their touching lyrics served as motivating anthems for soldiers on both sides, inspiring them to persevere with the ideal of fighting for a noble cause. Religion was also central to the Civil War. Even with all the gruesome deaths, diseases, and harsh realities of war, both sides stayed true to their religion as a way of understanding life and death. It provided relief to both soldiers and their families at home. Families at home grieving the loss of loved ones on the war front turned to faith to help them deal with their sufferings and sorrows. During the war, both Union and Confederate soldiers embraced Christian ideals such as national fast days, having ministers bless troops, and reciting public prayers. The deadliest war in America's history was fought for a great cause, the abolishment of slavery. Although the war started to unite the Union and Confederacy, it later became a war solely fighting for or against slavery.